Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to a very wet, dreary and miserable Friday evening at home. I have a gin and tonic, and I wasn't going to record a video. Instead, I was catching up on some, I'm not going to say work, I'm going to say catching up on some photographic tasks, mainly scanning film, and I was also reading some books and just generally relaxing, and I thought, you know what, I should record a video. Which is this. So I thought I would hit record on the camera and we'd just have a bit of a chat. And I would share some stories of some recent photographic adventures involving me and a Hasselblad XPan film camera and show you some of the results from that. Most of them are god awful, but one of them I really like and we're going to talk about that. So when it's a Friday night, I know it's Sunday for you guys, but when it's a Friday night, it's raining outside. Miserable, it's the middle of August, there's nothing to shoot. What I love to do is sit back, have a drink, go over some images of mine that aren't necessarily for videos, some what I like to call personal images maybe, I don't know, and read some good books and generally just relax. Because, yeah, pretty much photography is my life. So, there we go. Right, what are we going to talk about? Well, I'm going to talk about my experiences shooting with the X-Pan film camera. Oh yeah, before I get started, actually, what I really wanted to mention in this video was in my last video, I was shooting the North Cascades National Park, and in the field, I said that there were some white trails, or white scree, or white rock falls. No idea what they were, let's call them rock falls. Those white rock falls were coming into my image, you can see it here, and I didn't like them. But actually, in retrospect, when I put my image into Lightroom, started to process and edit it, I actually really liked the rock falls because they lead into the image. And the reason I'm saying this now is because in the video, I very much implied that they were a bad thing. Well, I didn't imply it, I said it. I said they were a bad thing, and if you're watching it and you look at the image, you might think, no, I quite like them. And you're right, I like them. They lead you into the image, they mirror distant scars on the mountains. And it's just sometimes it's difficult to judge from the back of your camera. So there you go, just wanted to clear that up. Yeah, 1 second. Another thing is I'm running a workshop in November in Nepal for about 3 weeks, trekking through the mountains and photography, and it's going to be a proper adventure. One of the participants has had to pull out due to ill health. So a space has opened up if you're interested and you fancy a 3-week adventure in November. I will leave details below. So, yeah, what can we say? Friday night. Yeah, a couple of things, a couple of books that I was reading. This in particular, Capture Lakeland by James Bell. James Bell's a fantastic photographer, shoots film, shoots digital, he's based in the Lake District, shoots, the majority of his images are from the Lake District. And this is volume 2, and it's just such a nice book. I've been looking over it, it's good. He's a really nice guy, I've met him, I know him. Very unassuming, very, very gentle person, you know, not too loud, not too brash. Has a YouTube channel himself, but I don't think he uploads all that often, which is a shame. But really been enjoying this book, especially because I shoot in the Lake District a lot myself, so it's nice to get inspiration. It's nice to see places that I know but may not have thought to photograph in that way, so on and so forth. So enjoying that. And another one, a classic, an absolute classic, is Galen Rowell, A Retrospective. What a landscape photography book. This is absolutely fantastic, which kind of brings me on to my next subject. So, what I really want to talk about in this video more than anything is my experience with the Hasselblad XPan. An XPan is a film camera that shoots panoramics. So, if I open the back here, you can see there, that's where the film goes. Shoots panos. Oopsie daisy. Shoots panos. Takes standard 35mm film, such as this. And when I was shooting a lot of panos maybe a few months ago on my channel. I got my new panoramic head and everything, and a gentleman got in touch by the name of Simon King. And he said, "Oh, Tom, I see you shooting a lot of panos. Why don't you borrow my XPan camera and try it out? You know, I'm not using it for a few months, feel free." So I said, yeah, okay, I'd love to try it. And that's what I've been doing, but I haven't recorded any videos with this camera, and the reason for that is, well, one is it's a learning process for me. You know, I don't shoot film that regularly, but when I do shoot film, I thoroughly enjoy the process, but I have to be 100% engrossed and committed to the process. So I find that when I'm out making a video on location, like usual, don't get me wrong, I love it obviously, but sometimes it feels a bit like work. It feels a little bit like work because you're juggling 3 or 4 balls in the air at once. But when I'm with a film camera, I see this very much as just a way to go out and just totally strip back photography, get rid of the video camera and just, you know, enjoy photography as a whole, and not even landscapes, you know, just all kinds of photography. Because although on this channel it's all landscapes, I enjoy shooting tons of stuff. Actually, I watch a channel, a photographer called Nick Carver. He's so good, like his channel is phenomenal and he's so inspirational. He shoots film, but he shoots everything. Like, he shoots amazing landscapes, but then he'll go and, like his recent video, he shot a laundromat, which 1 million people would have walked past and not seen as a potential photograph. And he went and shot it over a period of like 5 months because the light wasn't right, and then you have to go and watch the video, I'll link to it, it's fantastic. But I love the way he's able to make these really atmospheric images from everyday scenes. So that was kind of what I wanted to do with this. It was not to go out and specifically shoot landscapes and make a video. I just wanted to have this on me and shoot anything that caught my eye, anything, not just landscapes. So I was on holiday, me and my wife went on holiday, we went on a cruise. And the cruise was terrible, awful. It was my first and last cruise. It was just awful. It was an Adriatic cruise. We went to Italy and Croatia. And we had terrible weather, terrible service, awful cruise ship, just awful. I don't want to go into it, but it was just awful. How many times am I going to say awful? But I took this camera with me. And oh, it was fantastic. I shot quite a lot of film. Well, not quite a lot, 3 rolls or 2.5 rolls of film. And it was very much just walking around the streets of Dubrovnik and Venice, and I don't know, I can't remember where else we went, it was quite a while ago. But I want to share some of the failures with this, because this camera, as fantastic as it is, it's a bit of a learning curve, because it's a rangefinder camera, so you're not seeing what the sensor is seeing. You're looking through a viewfinder that gives you an approximation of what might be in your frame. And I found that to be not very accurate, but it could be user error. It's manual focus, you manually dial in your aperture on the lens, and it's got a built-in light meter, and me personally, I just set it to automatic, which is similar to AV mode on digital camera, where you fix your aperture and then this dictates the shutter speed. And I just walked around handheld, and a lot of my images are out of focus. All of them are dusty, and a few of them aren't composed correctly because I think there's an image with my finger across the lens. I don't know what happened there. There's all sorts going on, but for all the bad ones, there is one really special one I absolutely love, and I'm going to talk about that and tell the story, but I just wanted to show you a few images first. So this is typically what I was photographing. Stuff like that. I believe this was in Dubrovnik. Lovely, you know, you've got these cobbled streets, and again, this is an example of the framing not quite being so accurate through the rangefinder, through the viewfinder. You can see here there's like a white lamp. Well, I definitely composed it so that that was in shot. And you can see from this that it isn't. But yeah, this is quite nice. It's not perfect, but I like the feel of it. It feels nice. It feels very oldie worldy. You've got some nice colour. And actually, most of the Ektar images didn't come out well at all. Although I believe this is Ektar, and yeah, like I say, I quite like that. This is Portra 400. I mean, there's so much dust on the film. It's probably my scanner and mishandling the film, maybe pulling it out and leaving it in the open too long, I don't know. This to me looks like it was shot in the 1970s. I was in Venice. It was miserable, like full-on torrential rain, just like it is today. And I just thought I want that classic shot of the boats with the tower in the background. Don't know the name of it. I was only in Venice for like 3 hours. It wasn't very nice, very busy. But this, I don't know, it just has, oh man, it's such a cliche, but it has that feel to it, that film look that I can't quite describe. And because you're taking a pano in a single exposure, it does have a certain look to it that's very difficult to articulate. But yeah, this was really nice. And you know, I'm walking around, I'm shooting everything handheld, so many failures, so many images that I scanned in that are just embarrassingly bad. The colours are off on a lot of them. I'm not experienced with scanning, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing. Quite like this image, again, it's just something that caught my eye, this old backstreet kind of iron workshop. Again, Portra 400, quite enjoyed it. Oh, another version of the boats, actually this is bracketed, I took 2 exposures, this one I exposed the stop brighter, and actually I think this is the better one, but here's where it got interesting. So, after a few days of walking around the streets of Italy and Croatia, hand-holding, taking lots of shots that I thought looked interesting, most of which had potential, but due to poor execution on my part, or dodgy film, I don't know, probably me. A lot of the images didn't really come out, it didn't work out how I'd hoped. But on the last day of the cruise, I think it was that, yeah, it was the last day of the cruise, I burned through a roll of Ektar 100 and I burned through my Portra 400, but in my bag I had some Velvia 50, so I put this in for the last day. And it'd been raining all week. Rain, rain, rain. It was miserable. Absolutely miserable. I think we had like 1 day of sun, but for the most part it was like this, wet and miserable. And then we were sailing out of Venice, if I remember rightly. And we were due to go back, and then that was the end of the cruise. And the rain and the skies cleared, and the sun started to break through. And the problem with a cruise is, from my perspective, is you're always on the ship during the evening. So you never get a sunset or a sunrise, you're always at sea. So we're sailing along, and I think me and my wife were somewhere on the ship having a drink. And I looked out of the window, and I could see the most beautiful, beautiful sunrise that you've ever seen. Not sunrise, God, sunset that you've ever seen. And the sky was burning, and I thought, oh my God, that looks fantastic. I wish we were still on land. But we weren't. We were in this boat cruising at about 20 knots across the sea. And then when I looked, I went to the edge of the boat, sort of to the, I don't know, the deck side, whatever, starboard, I don't know, and looked over, and the sea was just flat calm. And there was this single island, which actually is a volcano just off the coast of Italy. And I immediately thought, I have to photograph that. So I think I said to Charlotte, I said, I'll be back in a second, I'm just going to run and get my camera. So I ran up to our room, and if you've ever been on one of these cruise ships, they're ridiculous. They're like a city that floats, they're huge. So it took me about 5 minutes, maybe even more, maybe 8 minutes to get to my little cabin, and our cabin had a tiny little balcony with a handrail, and it was really dark. Now the sun's setting, the sky's glowing orange, and I sprinted and sprinted and sprinted, and I grabbed my camera, and it had Velvia 50 in it. Velvia 50, if you don't know, is basically a film stock that has about 5 stops of dynamic range. Now that sounds terrible, but what that gives you is great contrast and incredibly rich, vibrant colours. So this sunset was vibrant enough, and I thought, my God, if I shoot this with Velvia, it could look awesome. So I got my camera and I balanced it or placed it on the balcony. Now bear in mind, if this had have fallen over, these are about 2 or 3 grand, and it's not mine, I'd have felt terrible. So I rested it on, and I started taking as many exposures as I could. I think on a standard roll of 35mm film, I think you get about, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 12 exposures or something like that. It's not many. So I reeled off a shot and then dialed in a little bit of exposure compensation, took another shot and then took it a bit darker. So I'm bracketing just because, you know, I don't know. I don't know how accurate the meter is or anything like that. Anyway, this is the photograph. And that is classic Velvia, very rich colours, beautiful volcanic island right in the centre. I forget the name of the island, but I will put it on screen just here. And I absolutely love this image because most of my shots, most of the film is out of focus, blurry, most of them are awful. I still had great fun shooting, but most of them didn't work out. This one though, I just nailed it. It just works perfectly. And I think a lot of that is using the handrail as a tripod and bracketing, although pretty much could have got away with every single exposure that I took. There isn't that much difference between them, and I love this image. It's so nice, but it is a little bit messy with the darker clouds dotted around. But then after shooting this image, I sort of turned away from the sunset, the vibrant area, and looked back, and there were a few more islands, and the sky was a lot softer. Much softer, much more my type of photography, my type of landscape is soft, you know, minimalist, very ethereal and dreamy. That is where I captured the image that I am so proud of. So I got this image, thought nailed it. Well, I didn't think I'd nailed it. I was absolutely convinced I'd messed it up. But after having got the film back, yeah, pretty good. But like I say, by looking more towards the east, I believe, the sea was a bit calmer, the sky was a bit softer, and there were a few more islands, and I got this image, and I absolutely love this photograph. It's just, I mean, you can see that the sun's setting just off there, so basically I just pan left a little bit and took a few more exposures of these islands here. The water is much calmer, and the sky is a lot softer. I had issues because it's a panoramic and it gives such a wide field of view. You're pretty much looking from it's almost like looking from west to east. So this left hand side of the image is much darker, but I quite like that. I love the transition from sort of, what would you say that is? Twilight, almost dusk, almost like a night sky, transitioning from there. Well, I suppose the transition is this way, so you've got sunset going into twilight, and it's just so nice, and I'm so glad that it came out. It's sharp, or sharp enough, but it has that ethereal feel. It's beautifully soft. I had to work it a little bit in Photoshop. The main thing I did, I added in a touch of contrast, and I lifted the left side. So just lifted it by about 1/4 of a stop, not much, just because it was quite dark. And then spent about 4 hours getting rid of dust and hair. So once that was done, we have a really nice image, but it didn't stop there. This is all today, by the way. This is me, you know, I've had this film for a couple of weeks now, and I've scanned it in today, and then I liked the image so much that I went ahead and made myself a print of the image. Just, you know, it's just a personal one. I don't know if you've seen my previous videos, but I'm not selling prints because my calendars, which by the way are available for pre-order, I will stick a link. Yeah, I'm not selling prints because I think it takes me, it's just too much work because I'm doing my calendars. If I get a print order, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But I did make this print and it looks fantastic. It's soft, it's ethereal, it's colourful, it's peaceful. It's pretty much everything I look for in an image. And the fact that I shot it on this camera, on film, did hardly any processing, scanned it in myself. Again, I don't know, I literally just scanned it, you know, nothing, no settings, just there, scan, with an Epson V850. So really happy with that result. Dare I say I might even get a drum scan made, I don't know. So yeah, super happy with that. And I just wanted to share that with you because this camera's going back now, so I'll be sending that back. But I don't know, I just wanted to share that with you because, well, that's what I've been doing today. Reading books, scanning film, processing and printing, and drinking gin and tonic. I have one last sip left, which means it's the end of the video. God, 22 minutes, I'll probably edit that down a little bit, but there we go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Next video. Oh, next one's going to be a good one. Big hike, massive altitude gained, terrible light, but great images, and a bear jumped out on us. Sort of. I might be exaggerating, but it's worth a watch. I haven't edited it yet, but that'll be coming on Wednesday. So I'm going to leave you there. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye for now.